Shalom. First of all, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to my power, Yahweh, and his son, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Double honors to the apostles at Great Millstone, who taught everybody this truth. And Barakatham, Barakatha, to all the brothers out there that are trying to continue to push this word, push this vibration. Very quick video. I was sitting, like a lot of brothers do. You get to you start to meditate, and I was thinking, with all this happening in Hawaii, they got the volcanoes and all the shit you've been seeing on the news. I was wondering why that's a thing, why that's a big thing. And I feel like the Lord is trying to he's reminding us of the troubles of Hawaii, and no nigga that I know has ever told me about the history of Hawaii. I used to have a couple of Hawaiian friends that I knew, but they never really told me about colonialism. See, I always thought that Hawaii was it was its own place. As a kid, I when they said Hawaii, I thought it was this island, and I thought they were on I thought they were on their shit, but they got taken over, I think, in the 50s, I believe. Either the 50s or the 60s. And, that's the so-called white man. That's the so-called white man. He took the island of Hawaii and he made that motherfucker a state, man. Now, before I start the video, I'm going to just show you the comments if I can, if it'll show me. Yeah, it'll show me. Okay. I'm going to go down. And these are some of the comments before I do the video. Look at this lady. I am saddened by this injustice. American history school books carried less than a paragraph of Hawaii's takeover. Breaks my heart that greed destroyed the Hawaiian monarchy and imprisoned their lovely queen. To the beautiful Hawaiian people, I am very sorry that this happened to your nation. And why did this happen to their nation? Because they had a queen. Now, the Most High, he loves women, okay? But he understands that women don't have a place of leadership. That's just naturally how it is. A woman should follow a man, And they had a queen in place. Now we have kingdoms. We have kingdoms and we have princesses. Now how that works is we'll say it in a way that people will understand. Like the Chinese, right? The Chinese used to have kings, but they never had queens. So what would happen is, let's say a king only has one child, and his child is a woman, a daughter. He's not going to give the crown to his daughter. What he's going to do is he's going to tell his daughter, go out, find a righteous Chinese man, preferably of royal blood, and I'll bestow upon him the crown if I find myself in favor of him. And you'll be the princess. You know what I mean? Because he's not going to give his entire inheritance, his entire wealth, genetic wealth, spiritual wealth, everything to this woman. Not because, he hates his daughter or nothing. It's just she's a weaker vessel. And since women are a weaker vessel, they're prone to having more spirits put on them. They're prone to having more sideways thoughts. You know what I mean? And for putting a woman in the place of a man in a head state, Hawaii has been ravaged, man. Now, I'll also say this. There are a lot of Hawaiians that are Israelites. They look Hawaiian, they talk Hawaiian, but you can tell by their spirit that they're Israelites. So I'm not saying that every single person in Hawaii is going to die and they're a heathen. No, what I'm saying is the Lord is speaking to the elect men of Israel, the men that are understanding what is taking place. He's trying to show us that if you have a woman in power, it will be to your demise, And so this got 126 likes. So obviously, it's some people that didn't watch this video. And then look at this one. This is the one that really made me laugh. America pretty much caused an extinction of an entire race. Hawaii only has about 15% of full native Hawaiians left. The rest are tourists, okay? And to back that up, I got this, I just typed in covered fields. And this is Micah chapter 2, verse 2. And they covered fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Now, what does that have to do with the Hawaiians? Like I said, Israelites are scattered across the four corners of the earth. There are Israelites in the Netherlands, Sweden. They're everywhere. You know what I mean? So when you go down to Micah, it says, and they covered fields. Who's they? The so-called white man, a.k.a. the people that run America. You know, because what did this comment right here say? America pretty much caused an extinction of an entire race. So this guy is obviously, he's well versed and he's well learned in the fact that the Hawaiians were a race of people. They're not. It's not just like a state, like how it is now. It's the state of Hawaii. No. Beforehand, it was a group of people. You know, and although I love the Hawaiian people. You know, they're women, beautiful women. The land is beautiful, but it is not Israel. You know, if you're not coming under the vibration of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, you know, Bahashem Rakakwadash, you know, which is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, then the Lord is going to do what he will to you. And in these times, 2018, Hawaii is an example of what's to come for a lot of people. Because one of the reasons why you know that the Lord wasn't with Hawaii is, not only did he take it out, but they had a lot of heathenistic practices. You know, in Hawaii, to cook a special dish, you dig a hole in the ground and you take a pig and you put an apple in its mouth and, you know, you fill it with all sorts of stuff and you throw that pig into the ground and the earth cooks it. And it's a specialty. It's a special sort of dish. You know, now our people never ate swine's flesh. So that's one reason why, you know, okay, these are different people. Now, like I said, there are Israelites there and there were Israelites there back then. You know what I mean? Hell, there are even some brothers. They actually got a church out there. You know, and by church, I mean a camp, a gathering of men. You know, because the Lord doesn't work with he doesn't work with places that are built with hands. You know? And if I can remember, I'll type that in to the search bar after I finish up this point. Another reason why you know that Hawaii had what happened to it, well, it was a queendom. And in Israel, there was never a queen. All the women are princesses. You know what I mean? That's why I like to build up, all my people and tell them, hey, you know, you have a sense of royalty, because Hawaii had a false sense of royalty. They gave this woman a platform, you know, and madness is going to spew out because there should have been a king, you know. And even though Hawaii would have met the same end, you know, they should have had a king, you know. But once again, what is that constant reiteration? It's a constant reiteration of going up against what the Lord wants. Because, hell, they probably got a chance to get a king at one time. But, you know, the Lord just so had it that a queen was put there, you know. And these guys at GOCC, these guys at ISUPK, these guys at all these false Israelite groups that make real men of the Lord look bad, they try to say that Hawaii is the tribe of Naphtali. And that's false, man. And for that, you're a spiritual murderer. If you say that all Hawaiians are Israelites, you're going against the doctrine. You know, because first of all, why would all of this happen? You know, why would all of this happen and why would it all take place if these were the people of Israel? Because had that happened, had they got taken over, first of all, they would have fought. like hell, which they probably did. And you don't hear about that in school. I never heard about the Hawaiian takeover in school. You know? And that's the devil for you. Devil will take something over and he won't even give a fuck. Now let's break down this Micah 2:2. Because in church, you're not gonna hear nobody talk in this way. You know, you're not gonna hear them say this, that, and give you the breakdowns. But you know, that's why the watchman, the true man of the Lord, you know, Yasharallah, you know, he is the prince of the power, you know. That's why we're here to kind of be that mediator. And that mediator for us is Yahushua. That's our mediator. See, in order to get to this, in order to get to Yahushua, obviously you have to know a man of the Lord, or you have to, you know, look it up on your phone and get that information from a man of the Lord. Now, where does he get it? Where does he get that information from? He gets it from the Holy Spirit. He gets it from Yahushua, you know, Hamashiach, you know, who the world calls Jesus Christ, but his real name is Yahushua Hamashiach. That's what he was known as in his time, you know. And to continue, and they covet fields and take them by violence. And how did they take Hawaii? They took Hawaii by violence, you know, and houses. And when it says houses, it doesn't mean houses as in physical houses. It means families. Families. See, we are the house of so-and-so. If you are the American Negro, you come from the house of Judah. If you are a so-called Puerto Rican, you come from the house of Ephraim. Now, we are all Israelites, but you have a certain house. You have a certain place that you come from. You know, it's almost like we are the NBA, but there are teams on the NBA, you know, so to speak, in layman's terms. So when they say houses, they mean families. See, that's why they say, and take them away. Because how can you take a house away? Did they have a forklift back then to take the houses away? No, they were taking away people. That's how you know that we were also put into slavery, that the white man was putting people into slavery long before he spoke on it, you know. But let me finish this up. And it says, so they oppress a man and his house. And how do they oppress a man and his house? First of all, by taking it away. Second of all, by taxing the fuck out of it. Because if you live in Hawaii now, you have to be a so-called white man. There's a mass exodus of native Hawaiians that have to leave Hawaii because they can't quote unquote afford it. Those people in Hawaii were living a lavish life, you know, prior to the white man coming. But it was part of those curses that the white man would come so that you could get a few Israelites down there to speak on what's happening. He destroys places in order to raise them up again, you know, through his men and through his women, by the women learning, because a woman isn't supposed to be out teaching the masses, but she can learn in silence, you know. She can teach other women, hey, I learned this, hey, I learned that. And you can help, you know. That's not to say, and that's part of the problem with these people. They believe that the woman is supposed to be the head. No, she is a help, you know, and she is the ultimate help. Had this woman who was a queen, had she been a princess and her husband had been a king, nothing could have stopped them. You know what I mean? Had they really had come back, you know, praising the Lord, praising the Most High and doing his commandments, they could have been found out to be Israelites, you know, a good bit of them. But the whole entire land of Hawaii, you know, obviously the Lord wasn't truly with them. And this is a perfect example. You know, this is the perfect example. Micah chapter 2, verse 2 is exactly what happened to the Hawaiians. Whenever you go against the Lord's commandments, such as eating that pig, man, amongst other things, you're putting a direct middle finger to the Most High, you know, and he's not to be mocked. So it took some time, but of course, look at Hawaii today, you know, just like this man said, the rest are tourists. And what are tourists? So-called white people, you know, and I'm going to bring this one out. This is Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 10. Therefore will I give their wives unto others. And how did that happen? When they took over these lands, they took our wives. You know, in those times we had multiple wives, and they were raping them. They were selling our kids off, dividing the families. You know, making your son go to Mississippi and making your daughter go to Georgia. These were some evil people, man. And it reads, "And their fields to them that shall inherit them. For everyone from the least even unto the greatest is given to covetousness." And so how were we given to covetousness? The so-called white man coveted our women. He coveted our land. He coveted our spirit. So we were given into the covetousness that the so-called white man had for us. Oh, that nigga. Oh, he got multiple wives. Because you got to remember, the so-called white man, he never had multiple women and shit because the woman was always over him. You know what I mean? The woman was over him. And he finally seen a group, of people that actually had things going properly. You see, let's say, for example, you had, and this is pretty crazy. I don't know who would do this, but let's say you had 50 wives. I don't know who the hell would have 50 wives, but let's say you had 50 wives. Now the 13th wife, she ain't got no kids, but the 14th wife has 8 kids. So what you can do is that the wife with no kids can help watch the kids of the lady with the 8 kids. Because what one woman can watch 8 children? And that's another sign that the Lord puts the blessing on those women to have children, because you need help. Women are supposed to help themselves. They're supposed to empower themselves, not only through the word, through the spirit, but through physical actions. A lot of these men back in the day, all the greatest men on the earth had multiple wives. And the reason why nothing ever happened, is because there was always a help. There was always a help. If you cut your foot, one of your wives knew how to sew, so she could suture your foot up. Then one of them, then the other one was a master grower of herbs, so she would help your foot. And let's say that the third one, right? The third one was a master in language, so you may need to get some information on how to use that certain herb on your foot. But you don't know Chinese. But she does. She does know Chinese. So you would ask her, hey, can you interpret this for me? Can you interpret these words for me? And she could do that. So it was always a help, And it's just like how your mom, when she has you, at first it's a burden on her. But as you get older and you're able to perform certain tasks, she makes you do them. At first when you're a small child, you can't mow the lawn. But as you get older, you come into your age. What does she say? Oh, well, I'm gonna need you to mow the lawn. You know what I'm saying? Because you are a help. You are meant to be more of an advantage than a disadvantage. But our people have forgotten that, and so did Hawaii. Because with a queen, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of dancing, and there was no preparation. When a man is in authority, there's preparation, there is order. And because there wasn't any order, there was still a couple of Israelites, in Hawaii, and they're still there to this day. A lot of these people that you walk past, you call them poor, oh, you poor ass Hawaiian. Oh, you need to get a job. These people used to live off the land. You know what I'm saying? This was a great people, but the Lord brought them to naught. He made them non-existent. And I'm gonna finish the end of this, play the video, and then that'll be the end of it. So I'll go back. For everyone from the least even unto the greatest is given to covetousness, from the prophet even unto the priest everyone dealeth falsely. So no matter how great you are, you're going to come under this spell of covetousness from the white man. You see, even if you Kevin Hart still got to answer to the white man. Now, he's a millionaire. That nigga got at least 50 mil in the bank. But even from the highest to the lowest, even a ditch digger has to answer to the white man. Hell, in Obama, he was an African. So, you already know what time it is with him. But even he had a white man telling him what to do. And he was the president of the goddamn United States. So from that, the end of that is trying to tell you from the prophet, which a prophet basically is an Israelite who is prophesying what's happening, which I don't like to use that word. I am not a prophet. I'm just a man of the Lord. That's it. The prophets were those great men: Isaiah, Jeremiah, Habakkuk. You know, those were prophets. Me, I'm a watchman. I'm a man of the Lord. I'm the person who interprets what they have said. You know, and it speaks about in the scriptures how they'll marvel. They'll marvel at the fact that somebody understood what they wrote down. You know. Because a lot of the things that they wrote down, they didn't understand what they were writing. And they knew that one day people were going to decipher it. Like Jeremiah, he knew that one day people were going to understand what he was writing down. Everyone dealeth falsely. And you see that. Everyone has been dealt with falsely. You know? Because we've been given to covetousness. Even if you are the richest man in your neighborhood, if you're the richest nigga in the hood, you still got to go to the same corner store as everybody else, you know? So you still stuck. You're crabs in a bucket. See, that's why as a nation, you have to get out of this oppression. As a nation, you have to get out of this and you have to raise people up. That's why it's part of the men of the Lord's job to bring our people together, not in violence, because that was another reason why the Hawaiians fell. There was that sense of violence. When the white man first started coming, what did he say? He said, oh, well, I guess y'all can come. Then after they start fucking shit up, that's when they want to protest. You know, after they done taken it over, that's when y'all want to get all up in arms. But what does the Lord say, man? Let the Lord do the work. You know? Nobody's going to be able to storm the Congress office and demand that so-and-so gets let out of jail and demand that black people get equal rights and demand that Latinos get fair pay. The so-called white man is stuck in his pride. He will continue this lackluster sense of accomplishment till the day he dies. That is his lot. You know, he's never going to give this shit up. So Hawaii is a perfect example, man. I'm going to look at a couple more of these comments. Oh, guess it didn't want to let me go down. Oh shit. I'm gonna try to look up what I was thinking about earlier. What was I thinking about that would have been a good scripture? Damn, I'm trying to think of the specific words. Oh. I don't know how to spell keepeth. Maybe like that. I don't know. That doesn't look like it would be a word. Nah. Okay, so there are 9 results for at home, and I'm just gonna read. And bear with me here. I'm just going to read the one that I remember was speaking to me. Let me see. Hey, fuck it. I'll just go ahead and I'll read most of these. Because, one little verse in the Bible, that ain't going to hurt if it's a little bit off subject. This is Titus chapter 2, verse 5. This is speaking to women. Specifically, to be discreet, chaste. And what does chaste mean? In the old times they had chastity belts, right? To keep random men just from getting up in your woman. So for a woman to be discreet and chaste, she's supposed to be reserved. Keepers at home. So a woman ain't supposed to be going, out to the club and this and that. Now nowadays, it's 2018. So you're not going to expect a woman to stay home the entire time, because this is Babylon the Great. America is Babylon the Great. So expect Babylonian shit to go down, And I'm going to continue. Keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. And why would the word of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, be blasphemed? By the women trying to come over the men. You see, because by coming over the man, you're coming over who the Lord has made in his image. Now, he's made woman in his image too, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Because a woman is here. But she's not supposed to be telling the man what to do. That's blasphemy, you know? This is 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 4. But if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home and to requite their parents, or requite their parents, for that is good and acceptable before Yahweh. So you see, if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home. You know what I mean? Because when a woman is a widow, that means that she's without a husband. So what the Lord is trying to tell the women is teach the children the ways of the Most High at home, okay? And require those children to respect their mother and to respect the Most High. Because when your father dies, a lot of these kids, man, they go off the deep end because they're like, yeah, you know, my mama can't tell me what to do, da-da-da-da-da, whatever the case is. So what he's trying to say is show them the ways at home, you know, for that is good and acceptable before Yahweh. So that when they go out into the world, they can be that shining light, you know, because what does the Lord say? Raise your children up in the way that they shall go, so that when they go, they shall depart not from it, you know. You're not supposed to depart from the way. If your husband dies, you're supposed to keep pushing that vibration of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And the Lord finds favor in a lot of the widows that do that. You know, my auntie is a perfect example. Her husband died, you know, and she got kids. And she said, you know, in the name of the Most High, I'm going to take care of him, you know. And, hey, Kwam Yasharala Waha Mashat Yahushai for that, you know. And thank you. You know, that's soothing to hear that a woman is taking care of her kids and raising them up in the way that they shall go, you know. It makes me proud, you know, and not in the sense of pride, like the so-called white man. Because this right here is pride, man. Nigga done took a whole island. Just two more of these, and I'm gonna start this video because this video is getting long. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 35. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church. And what is the church? The church is a gathering of men of the Lord. If you got 5-6 men having a spiritual conversation, you know, you can't just have a woman come in and say, well, I think this. You know, because first of all, they're going to ask the question, where's your husband? You know, let's say there's 5 guys at a restaurant, you know, they getting a bite to eat, and they're talking spiritual things, and a woman comes up and says, you know, just interrupts them and starts yelling, I don't think what y'all are saying is right. That's a shame. You see, because she should have been minding her business. Second of all, where's your husband? You know? And if her husband is there, you got to go up to the husband and be like, look, no disrespect, but she came up to us and, you know, she just started yelling. And then that's when he goes up to her and says, hey, you know, stop yelling at them. See, because the man is the leader. You know, nowadays, if you want to get a nigga in trouble, all you got to do is tell his girl. You see, it should be the opposite. You should be able to tell a man, hey, your woman is acting out of line, and he should be able to go to her righteously and tell her, hey, I heard you getting out of line. See, it's our job to keep shit in line. You know, and it is. Because these men are weak. And they don't have a sense of control. And that's not controlling things in a way to where you want to be the most high. It's just a sense of righteous control, you know. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 34. And if any man hunger, let him eat at home, that ye come not together unto condemnation. And the rest will I set in order when I come. And he's going to set everything in order when he comes, when he establishes righteousness on the earth. So it's saying that if any man hunger, let him eat at home, that ye not come together unto condemnation. You know, so if you're going to acquire some of this knowledge, acquire some of it at the house, there doesn't need to be 100 men going over the same point at one place. Because the thing about it is, with men, we all have different philosophies. So he's saying, gather your knowledge, not by yourself, but gather your knowledge with other elect men. You know what I'm saying? Because in the world, you don't eat with everybody, do you? You know what I mean? When you have dinner with somebody, do you just eat with anybody? No, you eat with like-minded people. You eat with people that you would enjoy your company with. So the Lord is saying, eat at home. Get some of this knowledge at home. And when you go to church, aka the brothers, you feed them what you've prepared at the house. And this is John chapter 19, verse 27. Then saith he to the disciple, Behold thy mother. And from that hour, that disciple took her unto his own home. So in the book of John, he says he to a disciple, Behold thy mother. And from that hour, that disciple took her into his own home. So basically, what John is saying is, when your mama get old enough, man, you gotta take your mother into your house. Now, the so-called white man knows what the deal is. So-called white man he calls it a mother-in-law suite. See, he can afford to have a nice house, good lawn, good 401k. And a lot of times, he'll build a house in his backyard for his mother, where his mother can dwell, do her thing, and whenever she needs something, she just goes to the main house. See, that in the spirit world, that's how it'll be too. Your mother will live with you inadvertently. She'll live in a separate, part, but she'll live with you. And that's why here on the earth, you need to do the same thing. A lot of these so-called white people, man, and I know this firsthand. I've been inside of an old folks' home multiple times. And the reoccurring theme is that the so-called white man doesn't take care of his own. And that's one thing that you can say about Latinos, Negroes, and Native Americans. We take care of our own. If our mama gets sick, it don't matter if we gotta go to work late every day. We gonna feed her. We gonna make sure everything cool, so that when the Lord want to, he can take her back to the spirit world. Because and most likely. This disciple was probably asking John, what should I do with my mom? My mom's getting older. I'm trying to figure it out. And that's why he said, Behold thy mother. And from that hour, that disciple took her unto his own home. So he said, okay, mama, look, you can stay with me. You know what I mean? It ain't nothing wrong with that, because not only that, but your mother is the ultimate watcher of your children. If let's say that your wife is sick and she needs to take a nap, well, then the babies can go with the grandmother. And if she lives with them, in a separate quarters, obviously, if you can manage that. Now, if you can't manage that, and she has to stay in your house, hey, then, just ask for the Lord to work with you, I can't believe I couldn't find that. Can't believe I couldn't find what I was looking for. And just bear with me here. Oh, well, I like this one too. This is Romans chapter 9, verse 7. Neither, because they are the seed of Abraham, are they all children. So just because you come from Abraham doesn't mean that you're a child of the Most High. And it continues to read, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called. And who's Isaac's son? Jacob. And what was Jacob's son named? Israel. And Jacob had the 12 sons, which are the 12 tribes of Israel, because that's the patriarchs. Those are the fathers, So just because you come from Abraham, and all you damn Arabs, okay, y'all love to say, oh, well, we come from Abraham, so we're the children of God too. No, you're not. What did Romans 9 and 7 say? It said, neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called. You know? And in order for you to be inherited into the kingdom of the Most High, what do you have to be as? You have to be as children. You have to be childlike. Because I'm going to go ahead, say this quick couple words, and I know I already said that, but the spirit of the Most High will have you make an hour video, and you only planned on making a 5-minute video. It's all on his time, It's all about him. If he wants you to continue, he gonna make you continue. But I was reading and I was watching some of the apostles, and they were talking about how the 12 disciples, sometimes they would argue on who's the mightiest, of them. Who's the most well-versed, who's the most well-learned. And some of them would say, oh, well, John is the greatest. And some would say, oh, well, Paul's the greatest. And they were all arguing. And Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus, he came out of nowhere, and he went and he found a child that was around him, because whenever they used to talk to each other, they would talk in a common place, like the busiest place in the city. That's where the prophets would meet. So Yahushua went up to a child, brought the child to the men, and said, if you're not like him, if you're not like a child, you won't inherit the kingdom of heaven. And it confused them, like, what does he mean? Because the Lord's Son spoke in parables and in mystery. And, had they have seen Romans 9 and 7, had they all have seen Romans 9 and 7, they would be like, oh, okay, I get it. You have to be a child of the Most High. You have to be a child of Israel. Just because you come from Abraham don't mean shit. You know what I mean? I cannot believe that I could not find what I was looking for. But what I was looking for is it's a verse about Esau, and it says, neither shall he keep at home. And I was just saying that because the so-called white man like to travel everywhere. He went all the way out to Hawaii to see what the fuck they're doing. Oh, man. Ridiculous, man. Travel all the way over the fucking 7 seas just to go covet fields and land, man. Hey. And I'm gonna just show you. And this right here, this speaks good to a lot of the brothers. This is Luke chapter 12, verse 29. And seek not ye what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind. And that speaks to me, because at first I didn't want to make a video. The Spirit came over me and was like, look, you're going to make a video. So it's saying, and seek not what ye shall eat. So don't think about the scriptures that you're going to break down. Don't think about and it says, or what ye shall drink. So don't think about the philosophies. Don't really necessarily have a lesson plan. Let the Spirit flow through you, And then it finishes off by saying, neither be ye of doubtful mind. Like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can teach. I don't know if I can learn. You know what I'm saying? Don't have that spirit of doubt cast over you, So with that, I'm going to play this video.
Just over a century ago, there was an isolated kingdom called Hawaii, an independent nation with a parliament, its own flag, a national anthem, and a beloved queen, Liliuokalani.
And side note, if you ever seen the movie Lilo and Stitch, that's where they get her name from, Lilo. So you see the white man, because white man owned Disney. That's a what do you call it? That's an Easter egg, man. Because Lilo Kalani That was the queen. That was Hawaii's last queen, and Lilo wasn't Lilo and Stitch. So they, and what happens? We all love that movie, Oh, we love Lilo and Stitch, but all they did was take a woman's name who they probably killed. I don't know if they winded up killing the Queen of Hawaii. I don't know exactly what happened to her, but they make jest of that, man. Imagine that. Imagine that. They kill you, they kill your women, they kill your children, they take your land, and then they name you after a goddamn Disney movie. The nerve, man. The nerve. Okay, I'm continuing.
But in 1893, she was removed from her throne with the help of the United States Marines. It was a great loss to her people.
If you can imagine something within your own culture that is tremendously important to you, that is suddenly done away with, just totally ripped out and gone. If you can imagine yourself relating to something like that, that's what we went through.
Liliuokalani was descended from generations of chiefs, revered by the Hawaiians as gods. She had been educated by Americans. A poet and composer, she dined at the White House, was a guest at Buckingham Palace, but nothing had prepared her for the crisis she would face as queen.
So going to Buckingham Palace, going to the United States, White House, and all these other things, you see she was hand in hand with the so-called white man. And so after a while, they realized, they started to covet her land, much like I just read. They wanted her land because she came and she would visit, right? So, after a while, they're like, hey, we trying to see what Hawaii's talking about, So they went over there, and to this day, there's actually still, excuse me, Salakia, forgive me, but there's still a Marines base. The Marines are still in Hawaii to this day. You know what I mean?
Liliu was well-versed in the Western culture, well-versed in the Hawaiian culture, and knew the values of both sides, and knew the inevitable of what was going to happen to Hawaii.
When Liliu was born in 1838, the chanting lasted for days. It was the way to herald new arrivals among the Ali'i, the high chiefs of the islands. But by this time, many of the old ways had already vanished. It would take 10 days for news of the Queen's overthrow to reach the outside world.
And the reason for that is because they didn't have the internet. You see, now when something happens, we know instantly. In those times, they would have to print newspapers, and a lot of the times the information wouldn't get to certain places for days. And that's one of the ways that the so-called white man used shit to his advantage. You see, he knew that certain information wouldn't get to certain places until a certain time, so he would manipulate it, And they do that all the time. Actually, the story of the people who took over this island, which in reality is the Rothschilds, because they're the people that financed the money in order to have this takeover. But their great-grandfather, whoever the fuck he is, I forgot his name, he went to the stock market and he put all his money on some bullshit, because he knew some information. He knew some shit. He knew it before anybody else did. So he put a bunch of money on the stocks. You feel me? So after he put all the money on the stocks, obviously everybody's finna start doing what he did. So they put the money on the same stock. And he tricked them, you know what I mean? Because he knew something that they didn't, and information is very valuable. It always has been. And whoever understands the information can intercept and can change that information, you know?
On January 18th, 1893, the day after she surrendered, Liliuokalani went for a ride in her carriage. On her way back, she told her driver not to turn into the palace, but instead to take her to her private residence, Washington Place. She firmly believed her exile would be brief, that the United States would recognize the error and she would be reinstated. On February 1st, Minister Stevens ceremonially raised the American flag over the government building. Liliuokalani wrote in her diary, "Time may wear off the feeling of injury, but my dear flag, the Hawaiian flag, that a strange flag should wave over it. May heaven look down on these missionaries and punish them for their deeds."
So even she was cursing out the so-called white man. She was asking the Most High to kill them. Yeah, man. That's crazy. But you see the fact that she was going out to the White House and shit. See, there was a spirit on her that thought that she could join hand in hand with the so-called white man. But he is, was, and forever will be an enemy unto the whole earth, man.
The palace was renamed the Executive Building. Martial law was declared and would be enforced by the ragtag army of the provisional government.
There was a blackening out of things, of news. But our people were able to find a means of protest because they were told by their leader, their queen, not to take up arms. They began wearing hatbands that said Aloha Aina, that meant patriotism. They began to make quilts that had the Hawaiian flag because the Hawaiian flag had been banned.
Here she was denied all reading material except for her prayer book. During this time, she composed a number of pieces, including the Queen's Prayer. Fearing that she would die a prisoner, Liliuokalani embroidered a quilt with a record of her life. Lydia Kamakaeha Liliuokalani ascended the throne January 29th, 1891, dethroned January 17th, 1893. Imprisoned at Iolani Palace, we began this quilt there. It was during her imprisonment that she would formally abdicate the throne.
Under the threat that 6 of her people will be executed, she signs a document that is not only an abdication for herself, but a statement that the monarchy itself is over, that the kingdom is no more.
And what did they say? The kingdom. So at first Hawaii was a kingdom because they said the chiefs, you know, so obviously there were elders before her that understood, you know, what was going on in Hawaii. So the big indicator on how it was going to fall, the land of Hawaii, was the fact that a queen came on the scene. You know, and that was orchestrated by the Most High.
The news strikes the Hawaiian people with great force because to them she was still queen.
On September 6th, 1895, after 8 months' imprisonment, Liliuokalani was released on parole to Washington Place. It would take another 2 years before her civil rights were fully restored. The provisional government had established the Republic of Hawaii with Sanford Dole as president, but they had still not succeeded in their ultimate goal,
Sanford Dole, I believe, of the Dole Company, and that's the nigga, y'all ever eat, the fruit The fruit, my man. You know, when you go to the store and you see that yellow can and it say Dole on it, that's them. You know, because their influence, man. Their influence is not only in the food that you eat, but upon the land that you stand on. You know, they covet everything.
To the United States. In 1898, when the Spanish-American War broke out, American troops headed to the Philippines. President McKinley recognized the strategic value of Hawaii and supported a congressional resolution for annexation. On August 12, 1898, in a grand ceremony, President Dole formally yielded the sovereignty and public property of the Hawaiian Islands to the United States. The Stars and Stripes was slowly raised over Iolani Palace, and the Hawaiian flag was brought down for the last time. But few Hawaiians would witness the ceremony. Most spent the day at home, behind closed blinds.
On the actual day of annexation, the Queen shuttered herself at Washington Place, surrounded by her court, by the princes, by her ladies-in-waiting, and they had a solemn picture taken. On the other side at Iolani Palace, there were sharpshooters pointed out. There was still tension in the air that something might happen, but when the Hawaiian flag was lowered, it was said that it was cut into small little 2 to 3 inch ribbons and given out as tokens of remembrance to the sons and daughters of the missionary families, so that they could keep those as little tokens of their great victory over the Hawaiian kingdom and the end of the tyranny of the Hawaiian monarchy.
You can hear the pain in his voice, man. You see how backwards they are. They're trying to make it seem like Hawaii needed to be taken out. You know, they just needed to be gone. You know, and then to cut the goddamn flag into pieces and hand them out as a token, right? That's like if somebody come to your house. They overtake your house, right? They kick you out, so you homeless. Then one day they come up to you and they like, hey, you know, when I forcibly removed you out of the house, you actually left your TV. So what I did was I cut the TV into pieces. One half for you, one half for your roommate. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucked up, man. And they knew what they was doing. All they did was destroy the flag and just give them the pieces, man. There ain't nothing symbolic about that.
Liliuokalani would live for another 20 years as an American citizen in the United States territory of Hawaii. By the time of her death at the age of 79, she had become the embodiment of the kingdom itself and of its loss. For weeks after her funeral, strange events were recorded in the islands. Volcanoes erupted, and the seas turned an odd hue from the sudden appearance of a multitude of red fish. It was as if the elements recognized that the kingdom was no more.
And you see what's happening now. You know, just as it was then, it's happening now. You got volcanoes popping off over there. You got the so-called white man trying to completely colonize Hawaii. You know, he ain't covered in them fields, man. And I'm just gonna go ahead and go to a quick verse, because if I was to end the video on that note, that was a very depressing note to end. So we got to go ahead and show what's going to happen to the so-called white man in time. You know, because the times of him doing shit like this is over. Like, Hawaii was one of the last places he could do this to. And what they're trying to do, just like they did Hawaii, they're trying to do Iran like that. And Iran is, in the Bible, is called Persia. You know, so every time they go for a land, they always do the same thing. Just like what happened. They invited her to the White House. She was probably eating lobster, which is what you're not supposed to be eating. You're probably eating lobster, shrimp and shit. And they probably got her real close. Real friendly, real close, and then fucked up her land, man. And for that, hey, shit, man, y'all got to pay for that. And can you believe so-called white people still in Hawaii talking about, I don't see what the problem is. I don't see what the problem is. They lost the land. You know? Okay. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors. And who are our oppressors? This so-called white man. So in the times to come, they're the ones who are going to be, preparing places for dinner. They're the ones who are going to be getting the grass to a certain point that they'd like. Oh, that was my alarm. You know, I set that just in case, you know, the video is too long. But you know how the spirit do. You know, it started off. It was just going to be a 15-minute video, and you can't encapture the so-called white man's wickedness all in 15 minutes. You know, so sometimes you got to break the shit down. You know, to all the people who showed me these different things. You know, there has to be a sense of thanks. You know, there has to be a sense of goodwill. You know, and that's why you have to say tawada. You know, which is thank you in Hebrew, to all the elders, to the apostles. You know what I mean? To the other men of the Lord who are constantly pushing that vibration, that they will not get away with what has happened, and that they will serve a hand that is more just than them. You know, it's gonna happen. You niggas not only took over Hawaii, they've taken over everything. But we just focused today on Hawaii because I've been seeing a lot about Hawaii lately, and I'm gonna end it in 2 minutes because I might as well have the video be an hour. They shall rule over their oppressors, so we're going to rule over them. And it shall come to pass, so that's a prophecy, that when they say it shall come to pass, it will come to pass. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, which is the sorrow of getting your shit taken, and from thy fear, the fear of you not being able to afford anything, constantly being taxed, okay? And from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. And Egypt in Greek means bondage. So where is the place that we are in bondage? Spiritual Egypt, aka America. You know? So he speaks in a way that the men of the Lord, they can decipher what's going on. You know? And that's why you have to continuously pray upon this wisdom. Pray day in and day out that he does not take his spirit from you, because some days you may wake up and you don't have the spirit on you. You know? So that's why you got to pray that he puts a spirit on you. You know? Wherein thou wast made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. So they're going to say, how the fuck did this happen? How did they what happened to America? How did they take out America? And who's the king of Babylon? We already know who the king of Babylon is. Whoever is the richest, most influential so-called white man on this planet. And we probably don't even know his name. We probably know the small players, but the actual big players in this game, we probably don't even know who the fuck they are, man. But wherever they go, they're going to get caught up too, because this is a judgment that you can't escape. You know? In this last verse, well, these last two verses are here, and we're going to end the video. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked. And what is the staff of the wicked? The staff of the wicked is their media, you know, which they use to kind of beat people into subjection. Their analogies, you know, and in their analogies, they try to use all sorts of shit. They try to compare us to dogs, to monkeys. You know, that staff, that those words that you use to put us down, it's going to be broken. Okay? Because the so-called white man is the wicked. And whoever works, and let me say that too, and whoever works with him, you heathens, you know, anybody working with the so-called white man is a heathen, man, and is rising up against the children of Israel, man. And it says, and the scepter of the rulers. Now, what is a scepter? A scepter is something that the king would hold, and it was like a semblance of power. Now, with black people, we know a scepter as a pimp cane. A pimp cane is a show of power. You know what I'm saying? So even his show of power will be broken, you know, amongst the rulers. And the rulers obviously are the men on this planet who are controlling a lot of this bullshit. In verse 6, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. And what's a continual stroke? This is a continual stroke. Hawaii not only got fucked up, but it's continuing to get fucked up. Its economy is continuing to tank. A continual stroke from the so-called white man. He smote the people in wrath, you know. And I'm going to read this last part, and that'll be it. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. So when the Most High comes back, when the Most High comes, and first of all, the Most High is back through His word, and through His men of the Lord, and the nations that ruled in anger, they're going to be persecuted, and nobody's going to stop them. You really think that if the Lord was to fuck up a lot of these people, which He already is, but on a massive scale, you know, this is in the times of Jacob's trouble. Do you really think that if I look into the sky and I see a missile hitting Bill Gates' house, do you really think I'm going to ask the Lord to stop? No, I'm going to ask Him to keep throwing missiles over there. You know, a lot of these elites, what's his name? Mark Zuckerberg actually lives in Hawaii, I believe. Or he has houses in Hawaii or something like that. So you just buying up land, man. So if I see something happening to you, nobody's going to hinder it. Nobody is going to stop the will of the Most High. You know, and with that, I just want to say all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Peace and salutations to the brothers, the sisters, everybody who is continuously learning this word. For every continual stroke that they give, we're going to give a continual stroke of repentance for our people, the children of Israel. Okay? And with that, I say shalom.